Good evening. My name is Steve Rennie. I am the Ren Baron, and this is my Ren Baron Learning to Fly YouTube channel. I'm going to try to do a little flight from Las Vegas Henderson Field to Santa Monica Airport here tonight, and hopefully everything's going to work properly on the broadcasting front here today. Let me do a quick check and make sure everything seems to be working here. Chat, okay, we're good. Pilot, let's go over to back over here. Apps. Okay. Let's go over to check here. 1 second. We'll get it all together here in a second. Oops, back. All right, we'll get this together in just a second here, sports fans. Okay, and there we are, and back over here. Okay, we're flying from Henderson Field to Santa Monica Airport. First things first, we're going to put together a flight plan here, which I have done already. So you can see right here, we're flying from Henderson Field, Creso, Victor 538, then GFS, Hector, Victor 12, Kimo 3 arrival in Santa Monica. So now what we need to do is file that flight plan here. What we're going to do right now is we're going to go to Pilot Edge, which is the service that we're going to be using to file the flight plan and get some ATC audio here. So I'm going to pop this up to full screen so you can see what I'm doing. I've loaded it. We've got IFR is our flight type. 768 Foxtrot Sierra SR22. We've got our equipment code is Golf. 175 true airspeed. Our departure location is Henderson. Arriving at Santa Monica, we're going to be cruising at 10,000 feet. Our alternate airport is Van Nuys. Here's our route. We're going to depart Henderson on the Creso intersection to Victor 538 to GPS and so forth and so on. I'm going to go file this flight plan right now. And now it says up here, flight plan is successfully done here. Okay, let's just see if there's anybody here. If there's anybody in the chat room here, let's see if I can just pull it down. If there's anybody in the chat room here, tell me if you can hear us properly. I'm assuming that everything's okay, but even if it's not, I am going to just kind of go with it here. Let's go over to something else here for 1 second. Let's just do a little, I'm going to do a little checking here. Make sure, all right, got 3 people there. Okay, folks, if you can hear me, just tell me if the sound is okay and everything would be great. And I'm going to put a little pop in the chat room. We got 2 chat rooms going on. There we go. Okay, great. All good, they said. All right, great. So I'm going to get rid of this one, and we're all good. Okay, good. Go back over to, let's go back over here. There I am. Okay, so now we've got our flight plan filed, and we're going to go into the cockpit here and start doing some business here. So let's go and make sure everything is working properly, I hope. And there we are in the cockpit. That is good stuff. And let's get started here. Okay, first things first. I'm going to switch the profile here. We're going to go to our cockpit views. We're going to go our default view up close so we can see what's going on. First thing I'm going to do when I get in the airplane here is I'm going to fill out some of my flight info sheets here. So I'm going to go down and get some information. First thing I'm going to do is go to the glove box down here and get some engine information here. We've got 546.5 is our engine hour, is our Hobbs. 546.5, and our engine hour is 341.8. Try to do this just like I would in my real plane. I'll get some other information here later. Let's close that up. Let's go back to the glove cockpit. Let's come up top here to our default view, and there we go. All right, some of this stuff I'm going to try to speed things up a little bit tonight because I got somebody or somewhere to be at 8 o'clock. Keys in the ignition where they're easy to find. Okay, let's get this baby fired up. All right, first things first, we're going to go battery 2. We're going to come down here to the throttle quadrant here and make sure that green light isn't on there. If it was, that would be a problem, but it's not. So now we'll go battery 1. I'll take some questions along the way here if anybody has any, but first let's get off the ground and get out of Dodge here. Okay, there we go. Okay, so the first thing I'm looking for right here is to make sure that our essential bus has got enough voltage there, and it does. Okay, we're going to go enter, enter, enter right here. We got 60 gallons of fuel, which will be fine for right now. We're going to get rid of that pesky little warning light right there. And we've got all that set. Let's put on our strobe lights, make sure everybody knows we're getting out of Dodge here. Let's go do something else here. I'm going to do something over on the iPad that you're not watching right now so I can get some information. Okay, great. So now we've got all that fired up. So let's go back down to our throttle quadrant. We're going to give it full mixture. We're going to give it full power. And I'm going to give it about 4 seconds of the high boost prime here. So let's do that. 1 1000, 2 1000, 3 1000, 4. Turn that off. Okay, let's go back down to the throttle quadrant here. Push this back down to 1/4 inch. Okay, and we're going to go back up top here now. I'm going to get the put the ignition switch to both here. Now I'm going to come back down to the throttle quadrant. Right now I'm going to give it a little boost bump for about 2-3 seconds, and once I hear it kind of doing this high-pitched sound, we're going to switch it over to ignition and fire this baby up. So let's give it a go. 1 1000, 2 1000, 3. There it is. Okay, we got a nice clean start. Let's get it back to both. Let's go alternator 1, alternator 2. Avionics is on here. That's all good. All right, let's get some information here on our departure information here for Henderson Airport. Okay, I'm going to get pulling that up on my iPad. Let's get the X-Plane iPad. Is that coming up? Okay, there it is. Okay, so we've got some ATIS is going to be 120775 here. Our clearance delivery is 125475. I'll need to talk to them to get our IFR clearance. Clearance delivery, okay, actually 13535, sorry, 13535. Our clearance delivery Henderson ground is 127.8, and tower is going to be 125.1. Okay, so let's get all that stuff together here. Okay, let's come up close here. We're going to go and get our ATIS was 120775 right here. Get that tucked in there, 775. Correct. That is correct now. Okay. We flip that over. And we want ground is actually the next one we want is clearance delivery, which is 13535. Okay, those are all good. We want 125.1 is tower up top. One, okay, we're going to flip that over. Okay, now let's come back out here. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do something here in X-Plane, and I'm going to load the Pilot Edge plug-in, which is going to give us some ATC control here today. Okay, now you hear that. That's great. Do one more little check here. This is an X-Plane check. Preferences here. I'm going to make sure it's set to my now headphones, PC. Oh, come on. Okay. It's not giving me my. Bear with me, folks. Here. Gonna do a quick little test here. Gonna do something off the books here real quick here. Bear with me for 1 second. Two devices here. Here, gonna connect those. All right, there we go. And
28 departure.
All right.
Contact departure 28.
Let's get rid of that iPad now. And all right, there the iPad is gone. Now we have ATC in our headset here. Or I'm hearing it. I hope you guys are as well. Let's go and do a quick test here. X-Plane chat.
Amarillo Tower, reporting midfield downwind for runway 26, November 73.
All right, so we've got
Sierra Yankee, runway 26, code of land.
integrate forward flight with him. I'll talk to you about all that stuff here in just a second when we get done here. Just trying to get set up and off the ground here. Let's turn this down a little bit here in my headset. Okay, so now, all right, so now what we're going to do, we've got all our frequencies going. I'm hearing everything on here. It sounds like we're hearing everything okay. Is everybody hearing the ATC okay? Engine levels good, all that? I'll come back later and check and see if we've got all that. All right, let's go back to cockpit views, and we're going to get rid of the X-Plane chat, I hope. There we go. Okay, now we're ready to go. Whew. Okay, now we're going to call up clearance. Let's first get our ATIS. Okay, so we're going to go over down to the GCU here. I'm on COM 1 right now, so now I'm going to switch over to COM 2 and get our ATIS.
Arriving and departing runways 35 left, 35 right. Visual approach is in use. Read backhaul runway assignments and hold short instructions. Advise on initial contact. You have information, Juliet.
It's Juliet we've got.
Henderson Executive Airport. ATIS information, Juliet. 0056 Zulu. Wind 050 at 4. Visibility 10. Sky condition, clear. Temperature 39er. Dew point 14. Altitude 299er 2. Arriving and departing runway 35 left, 35 right. Visual approach is in use. Read backhaul runway assignments and hold short instructions. Advise.
Okay, so now, we've got our ATIS now. Now we need to get all that in here, and we're going to go call up clearance delivery now, which is on 13535. And now we will go over there and let's switch cockpit views. All right, let's call up clearance delivery and get our clearance into Santa Monica. Henderson's clearance delivery, Cirrus 768 Foxtrot Sierra at GA parking with Julie. I'd like to pick up my IFR flight plan to Kilo Sierra Mike Oscar.
Number 64 Juliet Delta, runway 31 right, clear to land.
Runway 31 right, clear to land, 64 Juliet Delta.
Sierra 768 Fox Sierra, clear to the Santa Monica Airport. Via on departure, turn right heading 180. Expect radar vectors Creso and then as final. Climb maintain 7,000. Expect 10,000, 10 minutes after departure. Departure frequency 125.47. Squawk 2045. Verify heading 180 will allow compliance with terrain and obstruction clearance.
Okay, we're cleared to Santa Monica. On departure, we're going to make a right turn heading 180, then radar vectors for the Creso intersection, then as filed, 7,000 to start, 10,000 in 10 minutes, 125.47 on the departure, 2045, and I confirm that we'll be able to clear all the obstacles. 8 Foxtrot Sierra.
Sierra 768 Foxtrot Sierra, read back correct.
I'm going to get that program and come back to you for taxi. 8 Foxtrot Sierra, thank you. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is put our ground frequency, which is in 127.8, so we'll come up close so you can see what I'm doing here. 127.8. Flip that over here. Let's put, now let's work backwards and put all of our stuff in the flight management system. Let me get out of the picture here. Something weird is going on with my stuff here. And we will get rid of the pilot out here. Okay, so now, first things first, let's go and get everything first. First, we got to go in here and clear out our flight plan. Okay, so let's go up top here. We're going to go to menu. We're going to go delete flight plan. We're going to start all over Henderson, and then it's going to be, I'm going to go back over to my maps here. Okay, we're going to go back to the iPad here for a second. I'm going to show you how we'll skip all that. We're going to go Creso intersection. CRESO, enter, okay. Then we're going to want GFS, enter. Then we want Hector, HEC, enter. That's Hector, looking good. Then we want, actually, you know what? Back up one. Creso, then Victor 538. Okay, so we want, put in a menu here. Cresso, and then we want Victor 538. Here's a menu, load airway, Victor 538. Our get out is going to be GFS. Enter that, then we got Hector next after that, then we got Victor 12. Menu, load airway, Victor 12, enter, and we want to get off at Palmdale for the KSMO 3 arrival.
Cirrus Tower, helicopter 642 at Delta, off the runway
Love that.
at
Okay,
Delta.
there's Palmdale, then we want procedure, arrival. Nope, that's not it yet, hang on, let's go clear all that out. Palmdale, and then the KSMO 3 arrival.
What's our call again?
Actually, you know what?
This is helicopter 642 at Delta, holding short at taxiway Delta. I'm off the runway.
KSMO, enter. That's what we want. Let's clear that one out of there.
General
Okay,
aviation.
bang. Okay, so now we should be able to get the arrival.
Delta taxi will be
procedure.
Echo, remain the frequency.
Arrival.
Taxi, hover taxi
There's
will be
the
Echo,
KSMO
remain
3.
frequency 642 at Delta. Thank you.
Palmdale is the get in. Okay, so now all of our flight plan is loaded. Okay. Hopefully I didn't go too fast for you right there. Okay, Palmdale. So now let's go and take care of the rest of the stuff. I'm going to put in our transponder, which is 2045. That's displayed right down here. 245. I'm going to put on our there we go. That's all set now. Okay, then we want
Amarillo ground, November 73 Sierra
125.47 up
Yankee
top.
is off runway 26
25,
at Charlie and would like to
47.
taxi to Chanel Islands Aviation, please.
There's 47. Okay, that is in. So that's all check. Okay, now we want to put 7,000 in for our altitude. 7,000. That is a check.
Taxi via Charlie
We want to make a right turn heading
Chanel Islands
180. So
Aviation.
let's go
Remain
put that in
this
there.
frequency. November 73 Sierra Yankee.
There's our 180 heading right there. Bang, that's all checked. So now I've got all of that loaded here. And we're ready to go now. Let's come up. And let's do one other thing here. We're going to do this over on our iPad again. Get the iPad up here. Is that going to work? Okay, there's our iPad. Back to the map here for a second. Make sure everything is loading properly here. Do one other thing here. Devices on my nuts. Okay, hopefully that will work. Back to the map. My iPad's not working. Oh, come on, please now. Bear with me again here, folks, for just a second. Okay, we're going to get rid of that for a second. You're not going to see this little bit of what I'm doing here. Maybe we'll. Actually, we got to go into X-Plane here. That's going to pop that off for a second. We want our network data right here. We need to put in an IP address here. So. Okay, 1 second. Device. Okay, there's devices. Okay, that's all good. Now we're out of there. So there we go. So now we're ready to get. Basically what I was doing was making sure that my iPad is all synced up here. So now let me gather myself together and make sure I've got everything together here. We got 2045. Okay, that's what I was going to do. I'm going to go to our plates here and set up a binder. Let's go up in the iPad again so you can see this. Go into plates down here, which is at the bottom of the airport's maps plates, and you can go set up a binder based on the KHND Santa Monica. So it basically takes all that stuff. And the reason I wanted that is because I want our taxiing profiler, because we're going to be going down to, we're taking off on 35 left and right, which means we're going to have to taxi down to the end of the runway. Okay, so we're all set. We got 127.8 on COM 1 active, or COM 2 active, and I'm going to call them right now. And get our taxi. Henderson, ground, Cirrus 768 Foxtrot Sierra G8, parking with Juliet, ready to taxi with 35 left.
Sierra 768 Foxtrot Sierra, Henderson ground, runway 35 left, taxi via Alpha.
35 left via Alpha, 8 Foxtrot Sierra, thank you. All right, so now what I gotta just turn myself around here. Okay, we're all set. All right. Up here. Okay, so now let's go down to GC. Let's get rid of our brake right here. Come back up top, and we're going to make a right turn here and get out of Dodge. I'm going to get rid of that taxiing right there so you can. Okay, let's pay attention now. Okay. Okay, so we want to go all the way down to the end of, we're going to make a right turn here. We want 35 left via Alpha. Okay, so right now we're going to come out through here. On the Barrow here. Okay, now we are on Alpha here. Let's go all the way down. Okay, so let's go to our checklist here. Checklist. We go before I got to get myself all discombobulated here. Actually, I'm not on Alpha yet. Here's Alpha. Sound and stuff going on there, huh? All right, so takeoff, before takeoff, checklist. Before taxiing, flaps are up, radio avionics are set, taxiing, parking brake is up. Brakes are good. We got brakes. HSI orientation is good. Attitude gyro is good. Turn coordinator is working properly. That's good. All the way down to the end here. Turn coordinator is good. Doors are latched and closed. Caps handle is where it should be. Air conditioning is good. Fuel quantity. Go on our left tank, right tank. They're both good. Fuel selector is on the fullest tank. Fuel pump is in low boost. That's checked. Flaps, let's go 50 on the flaps. That's confirmed. Flaps are down. Transponder is set 2045. Autopilot will do that check up here. See where we are on the taxiway right there. Get rid of that. Full length all the way down here. Okay, now our altitude here is 2,460 feet, so that means our caps available is 3,060 feet. 4,460 will be our best caps available. If we have an engine issue on the runway, we're going to pull the power, hit the brakes, and abort the takeoff. If we have an engine issue between rotation and 3,060, we're going to pitch for 92, mixture off, tanks off, ignition off, and land straight ahead. If we have an engine issue between 3,060 and 4,460, we're going to pull the parachute, mixture off, tanks off, and float down softly somewhere, hopefully, and gather ourselves together. Okay, we're going to do a quick run up here in the run up area here. 634. course, an hour and 26-minute flight. Okay, we're just going to pull in on the runway or the old shoreline and do our. Actually, there's a little. All right, so let's go down to our GCU. Let's pull the brakes, make sure we got that set. Let's come back up top. Let's go to our engine pages right here. Okay, so let's go spool it up to 1700 here. Okay, 1700, there we go. Let's come in tight for you. Okay, we're gonna go start switching here. We got our nav lights on. We're checking against our electrical over here. Landing lights pushes it up a little bit. Also ice, not gonna do anything. Pitot heat's gonna roll up all two pretty good. Now we're gonna come over and check our mags here. So we're gonna go first to our left mag here. We're starting at 1690, 1700. Got a drop of 70 or 80. Our EGTs are rising. We'll reset it. Okay, back to 1700. Okay, back to the right mag. We got a drop of 40-ish. EGTs are rising. That's all good. Back to both and back to 1000 here. And then back to the checklist here. Okay, let's check our autopilot. Okay, autopilot is set here now. I'm going to put it in heading mode, and that pink line should move to the right, and it does. That's a check. Now we're going to set our takeoff and go around attitude for takeoff. Navigation radios are set 125.47 up top. Brakes are holding. We did all the power stuff. Pitot heat. Let's get rid of all pitot heat off. Ice off. Let's leave our landing light on for right now. Our voltage is +3, and that's good. Pitot heat not required. Landing light. Magnetos we've checked. Everything is green, 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 green. Power lever is good. Flight instruments are set. We've got our 180 heading. We've got our takeoff go-around mode set. Our flight controls free and correct. Let's go check outside the plane. Let's zoom it in here. Okay, there's our rudder. Okay, everything is working nicely there. Okay, we're back in the cockpit. Flight good. Okay, let's go check our trim. Trim is, need to nose it up a little bit. Off there is all good. The trim is good. Back to the default view. Autopilot is disconnected, and now we're ready
Palm
to
Springs,
take off.
clearance, good evening, Baron,
So, short field
737
climb,
Whiskey
takeoff
Tango.
is all set.
About IFR clearance,
let's
Montgomery
go.
Gibbs, executive.
All right, we're all set. All two is good. We're ready to roll. Okay, so now let's flip over to COM 1 now. Now we're talking to tower, which is on 125.1. And let's pull up to the old short line.
Baron 737 Whiskey Tango, Palm Springs, clear to Montgomery Airport, the Cathedral 1 departure, Palm Springs VOR, Victor 137, thermal VOR, and then as filed. I'll maintain 8,000, expect 10,000, 10 minutes after departure. Departure frequency 126.7, squawk 3367.
Okay, we'll clear to Montgomery Gibbs. Departure will fly the Cathedral 1, Palm Springs VOR, Victor 137, thermal VOR, then it's filed. 8,000, expect 10,000, 10 minutes after. 126.7, we'll squawk 3367. 737 Whiskey Tango.
Baron 7 Whiskey Tango, are you correct?
Henderson Tower, Sierra 768, Foxtrot Sierra, holding short, runway 35 left at Alpha, rating IFR listening.
Sierra 768 Foxtrot Sierra, Henderson Tower, turn right heading, right turn heading 180, runway 35 left, clear for takeoff.
Right turn 180, 35 left, clear for takeoff, 8 Foxtrot Sierra, thank you. Okay, let's give it a go.
Santa Barbara Tower, November 9905, Mike 3,700.
6,400 feet remaining.
Number 995, Mike, Santa Barbara Tower, make straight in, runway 25, report 3 mile final.
Make straight in, runway 25, report 3 mile final, 9905, Mike.
There's 35 left on the runway here. We're going to make a right turn heading 180. Let's get her pointed down the run. Let's get her on the center line first. There you go. Okay, let's see. Let's get her there. All right, we're ready to roll. 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3, 1,000, 4, throttle in, rudder in, all the way in. We're good. Speed's alive. Eyes down the runway. Trim flap makes it loose. A little bit longer to get down this runway because of the heat. Let's start pulling her up. Trim it as we pull. Flaps 90. And make 2,900. We're going to start that turn to the right. There's our caps available. Let's go right turn heading. Okay, 180. Let's get going. Now we're going to go this way. Go right turn 180. Get rid of that flight director for right now. Get her coming around. Let's get it around. There we go. Now we go heading where it should track it. 180 we want 180. Just got to do it old school. Get rid of that flight director again. There's our heading. Go indicated airspeed 120. We're coming up on 180 here. There's our 180 to start leveling her off. I got one. There we go. Let's try that one. Okay, so we got her climbing nicely. We got 490. Let's switch our tanks over. The left tank. Okay, there's that mountain ahead of us that he was concerned about. So we're going to get over that nicely, it looks like. Now, I like to fly it by hand until I kind of get us on course. So right now we got everything the way it should be. 120 on the speed, 180 on the heading. Got a nice climb happening here at 1,100 feet a minute. We climb out pretty full power-ish here, even though that, you can notice the numbers are... Contacting departure, 8550, thank you. Let's contact departure. Las Vegas departure, Cirrus 7685 6,000, climbing 7,000.
7685 Sierra, Las Vegas departure, rate of contact, maintain 10,000.
Climb maintain 10,000, 8550, thank you. Put in 10 in the altitude select. Just 10, Steve, not 11, 10. All right, there we go. Right about this time here, now that we're heading in the right direction, I'm going to put it on autopilot. We're going heading 180. We're heading to 7,000 here, and we're looking good right now, okay? So let's take a look out to the right there. It's going to be a beautiful sunset happening here. Same to the left. Desert flying right there, folks. All right, so let's get up on the flight plan here. Okay, Creso is where we're heading here, I believe. Let's go back on the map. Whoa. I'm going to do that. Let's go back to the map. There's the Cresso departure. There's the map. Let's get rid of the profile there. You can see we're heading over there. Let's go to our map here on. I'll show you the map on the X-plane here, on the iPad. You can see where we're heading. Okay, we want 10,000. 10,000. Okay, there's the map. Kind of get an idea where we're going. He'll give us something direct here in a second, and I suspect he'll send us to GFS. Beautiful view right there. I love the little 768 Foxtrot Sierra, which has been out of action on the injured reserve list here for 9 weeks now. But I think we're going to be back in business this week, and I'll be up in the air, and I'll be happy to post a new flight here. I've been working on a video of this actual flight that we're doing right here to Las Vegas, where I had a small issue with the annual inspection, which turned into a bit of a longer issue because of some warranty items and so forth, which we've got sorted out now. So that's all good, and we're looking good. Once we get to 10,000, if anybody's got some questions, I'll take a little peek once we get on course, and we got a little talking. Okay, there we are at 10,000 right now.
Hey, Foxtrot Sierra, clear direct off.
Clear direct off, C55 Sierra. Okay, that's what I was looking for. So now we're going to go to GFS down here. Let's come up close so you can see what we're doing. We're going to go direct, enter, enter. I'm going to come down here to the GCU, and I'm going to hit nav. And then we're going to come up top, and we should be turning slightly to Goff's there. Okay, and there it is. I'm going to wait until it sets in. I'm going to sync up our heading here, and now we're going to go through our checklist, which is our climb checklist here. Oxygen not required, electric fuel pump, fuel flow, engine parameters are all good. Our cruise checklist is oxygen is not required, fuel pump is good, cruise power. We're going to pull that back now to 29.5-ish. The manifold pressure, if I can get it, a little tricky there. Okay. Now we're going to pull back our mixture to about 16.1 gallons. I'll have to adjust the manifold pressure there a little bit, bring it down. And just keep coming here. 16.1. There's, it should get us 75% here. There's 16.2, 75%. All right, we'll take that. Cruise power is established. Mixture is good. Engine parameters are good. 1600 CHT 358. We'll keep an eye on those. Engine parameters are good. Fuel flow and balance is good. Let's go to our right-hand tank here. And we're done with that one. Our descent checklist is good. And then back to the map. Okay, and one final thing. Now I'm going to come over here on the iPad. He gave us direct GFS. So I'm going to go up to the flight plan here. I'm going to hit GFS. I'm going to go direct to, and now those are all synced up, and we're out of there. Okay, so we're ready to rock here. Okay, so now let's go X-plane chat, and let's see what we've got here. Okay, I'm going to come down here so I can see what's going on here. All right, so Ron Wagner, bring down the engine a little bit. I don't think I can bring that down without bringing down the ATC. How do you integrate ForeFlight with the sim? It's a great question. I do that by, there's a plug-in or app called NDI HDX Capture. And what you do is you load that on the iPad, and then you have it start broadcasting. You have to be on the same network as the X-plane and everything else is. And then I use a software application called OBS software. That's what you guys are seeing. When I'm doing the flight sim without
contact SoCal approach 134.2.
Without streaming and so forth.
134.2. 828.
If I do it without the streaming and so forth, I just have my iPad sitting here on my desk, have it synced up with ForeFlight or ForeFlight with X-Plane. There's a little function which I think you might have seen me messing around with some functions here. You got to put in your IP address, and then it'll actually the X-Plane instruments.
41828
The X-Plane instruments will feed that over to the iPads. It's really actually pretty cool here, you know. I don't know if I'm just going to restore the chat here for 1 second. All right, I think we got it here, and then all right, there it is. All right, so now I got my all my stuff back here. Okay, good. Miller Caterback, how to integrate forward. We talked about that. Sound is good hearing. Okay, Ryan Wilson. Okay, good. Thank you guys for joining me on a Sunday night. I'm just getting some practice in here, gents, because it's been crazy not having the plane here. I swear to God, I'm worried that all the time and energy I spent learning how to fly is going to go away here in no time. And it's probably a little bit of an overreaction on my part. Anyway, we'll come check back in and see if there's any more questions happening here. Alrighty, so we're just coasting along here. Now it's just good old fun times here. This is where it gets a little boring. So you guys got to have dinner, I understand.
That was 445, John Wayne, Altimeter 2996. Any Foxtrot Sierra contact, Los Angeles Center 134.65.
13465, 8 Foxtrot Sierra, thank you. LA Center, Cirrus 768 Foxtrot Sierra, level 1010,000.
768 Foxtrot Sierra, Los Angeles Center, the Bullhead altimeter 2977.
2977 for Bullhead, 8 Foxtrot Sierra. Is that 2977 or 2997?
77.
77, thank you, 8 Foxtrot Sierra. All right, 2977 for Bullhead. Okay. Okay, another question from the chat room. As an owner, would you like to hear more on annual offline if you want? Currently in and out shop with issues 2021 22 turbo. Yeah, I'd be interested to hear what issues you're having, Ron. Mine's a 2018 22 turbo G6. This is the first annual in 4 years that I've had any issues at all. Up until now, everything has been great. And we managed to sort the issue out. It took forever. That seems to be the way of the world these days. And but I would like to hear about it. So if you can just send me an email at the email listed here on my YouTube account, I'd be happy to talk to you about it. I'd be actually interested in talking about it. But I hate hearing currently in and out of the shop with issues. I'll tell you one thing I've learned with the plane is that you've got to, let me see if I can, feel like I'm a ghost here. Let me see if I can get this working. Oh, there I am. I've maintained my plane religiously according to the book. Taken in for 50-hour oil changes, done everything exactly when, if not a little bit early, and it makes a big difference. I try to run the engine as consistently as I can, and what I mean by that, we talked about things like if I come up close here on the instruments, you'll see that. The numbers on these in this simulator is very similar to what's actually in the plane. So, for example, right now our power is 76%, 16.1 gallons of fuel flow typically gets me 75% by now. It's a little stickier, but I'm at 16.1 there, and it's flipping back and forth between 75 and 76. So little things like that, not little things, making sure that you run your engine consistently, making sure that you're maintaining it properly in a timely fashion. For better or worse, I suspect I'm like a lot of Cirrus owners. I'm spared no expense when it comes to maintenance and so forth. I'll only half-kiddingly mention to people that whenever I see groups of Cirrus planes, and we've flown a number of different Cirrus Copa pilot events to the Bahamas, to Mexico, little fly-ins at different airports around the West here. I never see dirty Cirruses. I see a lot of dirty old Cessna 172s parked at Santa Monica. There's no dirty Cirrus planes out there. So people take good care of their planes. But I've heard all kinds of horror stories about from different folks that have had issues with their engines, and knock on wood, that hasn't been the case for my wife and I so far. And the one issue that we had here was we've got sorted out, and I'll just leave it at that. And I should be back in action here soon. So anyway, Miller Cataract. Okay, let's throw that one up here so you guys can see it. Let's get rid of the pilot, and let's make you guys the star of the show here. What are your opinions on SR22 versus SR20, and then SR20 versus something like a Bonanza? I'm a recent college grad going through flight training, and an SR20 seems more attainable if I could find partners. Well, what are your opinions on SR22 versus SR20? SR20, and I'm talking now anecdotally from what I've listened to, talking with other Cirrus pilots, and also I've never been in an SR20, let me just say that. Well, I've been in the plane, when I've been with pilots who have flown an SR20 versus an SR22, and particularly the SR22 turbo, they notice a big difference in power. Okay, so that's probably the main difference. Inside the cockpit, I think it's pretty much exactly the same. You wouldn't be able to tell the difference. The avionics, SR20 versus 22 or 22 turbo is the same. So all of the stuff about learning how to fly the systems in the plane will be absolutely the same. So that's great. I never flown a Bonanza. I've seen a few Bonanzas, and no disrespect to folks that have Bonanzas. If I had to choose between a Bonanza and an SR22, I chose the SR22 turbo. It didn't take me long. I've only had two planes. I had a little plane called the Sling 4 Experimental, which I got when I first started my training, and that was all glass panel. It didn't start as all glass, but I had a G3X screen in it. By the time I sold that Sling 4, it was all digital panels and so forth, because I had my eyes on a Cirrus, and then I decided to buy a Cirrus, and my wife and I have enjoyed the heck out of it. I will say this: I've met a lot of Cirrus pilots here through the channel here, and more than a few that decided they wanted to start flying and started with a Cirrus, which is obviously a lot more expensive way to go. But it's just a special plane. You know, I'm spoiled rotten, and I admit it. So for all the Cirrus haters out there, go ahead and hate. You're not going to talk me out of my Cirrus. Okay, Miller says, I'm training in at 170, but I'm spoiled because my girlfriend's dad flies a Perspective plus SR22. Well, I understand, Miller. I posted a video a while back that you guys went, okay, let's see what's going on here with the plane. We're making a turn to the right here, paying attention here. I'm going to go to the flight plan. Let's get up close so we can see what's going on here. Okay, we are heading now direct to Hector here, so we're moving. I'm going to wait till we get out of this turn here. And then I'm going to sync up my heading again here. All right, beautiful view out there.
3 Delta Sierra, contact Riverside Tower 121.0.
So anyway, I was saying I did a guy I met online, a pilot who was a Cessna 182 pilot, and he'd been kind of toying with the idea of buying a Cirrus and doing it with a partner. And so he happened to send me a note and said he was going to be in Los Angeles over the holidays, earlier this year, and said, could we get together and meet, because he actually was thinking about getting a Cirrus simulator set up. Anyway, we got together. He was staying at a hotel just literally a few hundred yards down the street from me. And so we came over, checked out the simulator setup. I said, hey, if you're not doing anything, and you're really thinking about a Cirrus, he said, we'll go up and we'll go flying one day. So anyway, I posted that video. I think it's titled something about a Cessna Pilot 182 trying to decide. Long story short, Miller, Bill, who's his name, bought a Cirrus SR22. I think he got a Gen 5. Hey, Scott Pritchett. And Bill's very meticulous, an engineering guy, and sent me a note the other day saying how much he enjoyed it and how he's very happy he made that decision. So, bottom line is none of us absolutely need a Cirrus. It's a very expensive hobby. But if you're going to fly, I'll tell you what, I'm flying in that Cirrus. I just love it for so many practical reasons. Its capabilities, particularly the newer versions, the SR22, where you can fly high with oxygen. You have all the tricks of the big jets out there, satellite phones, Cirrus XM radio, all the things that really make you feel comfortable right about now when you're in a plane on a trip going somewhere, and it's like, okay, honey, we've taken off. Now what do I do? Well, I check my engine temperatures. I go down to the here, and I switch over my tanks here. Let me switch over here. Throttle quadrant. I switch over my tanks is what I do. I come back up top here, and you sit back and let the plane do the work for you and listen to radio and so forth. So anyway, bottom line is, I think that anybody who buys a Cirrus, I haven't met too many folks that haven't been pretty happy with it overall. And so I hope that if any of you guys go and get a Cirrus, that you'll be as happy with it as my wife and I have been with it. So, all right. Scott, speaking of Scott, my estimate build is scheduled to be at the end of this month. And then, Scott, you get to go down to Tennessee, Knoxville, Tennessee, and get the Cirrus, what I call the Cirrus Rodeo Drive treatment, which if you've never been to Rodeo Drive in Beverly Hills, which is not far from where my wife and I live, you'll see how they take folks in there in these stores down there, and maybe it's your wife, and they give her a glass of champagne, have her put on a $500 bathrobe and slippers, and have her try on everything, and they'll sell her a purse for $1,500 that was probably made for $100 and actually make you feel good about it, right? And so that's what I call the Rodeo Drive approach. And I will tell you this, Scott, the Cirrus folks know how to make you feel really freaking good about plopping down all that money for your SR22. Okay, Miller says here, there's about $100,000 difference in an average sale price of a G2
I'll leave it to airspace.
SR20 versus SO. Tough deciding in that extra 15 option useful load or worth $100,000 for 3 to 5 trips. Okay, I'm going to give you a little anecdotal thing. My wife's not here, so I can say this, right? SR20 versus 22. If you live somewhere where it's flat, right, which is not California, I think an SR20 is good. An SR22, if you're living in an area that is flat-ish, not a lot of mountains, okay? That's not California. That's not the whole western United States. It's probably okay, you know? If you are going to be doing any flying over mountains, SR22 turbo is the way to go. And to finish that story, when I was thinking about buying our Cirrus, I had my cheap guy hat on. I wanted to get a good deal. I didn't want to get taken advantage of. I ordered an SR22, and my wife and I were talking one day, and one of the pilot buddies says something about having a turbo and versus not having a turbo, and I think the difference was about $75,000 for the turbo option. And my wife looks at me and says, you know, Steve, I don't want to be in that plane with you when we're flying up to Lake Tahoe and you decide that you need a turbo. Don't be a cheap bastard. If $75,000 is going to kill us, then don't do this. And it was good advice from the wife, and I've passed that advice along. So if you're looking to be really economical, you could probably do better than a Cirrus. But if you want to ride for those 300 to 500 mile flights that you can feel great about, that you can feel as comfortable as you can feel in the plane, when everybody else on the tarmac's got their doors open trying to get some cool air in there, and you got your air conditioning on, you won't regret it. Okay. All right, Scott's in the Bay Area, so you're flying over mountains, okay? Family's in Utah, definitely some mountains up there, and he got an SR22, folks, and that's a smart call. Well, Miller, I think your note about if I get something other than Cirrus, I'm always going to be thinking about it, and I can relate to that. That's why I bought a Cirrus. My instructor is a gal named Liz DeStaffany, who you've seen in some of the videos if you watch any of the videos. And she predicted early on, she goes, Rennie, you're going to buy a Cirrus. And I kept saying, I want to get to 500-600 hours before I get a Cirrus. And she said, oh, well, you should get a Cirrus when you're ready, you know, as a pilot, you're ready now. And I waited and I waited, and then, you know, life sometimes reminds you how precious life is and how the clock's always ticking. And one of my great friends and mentors in the music business died while I was having that conversation in my head about should I be smart, should I not be, whatever, you know, turbo, non-turbo, do I be a cheap bastard, do I go for it? And then my best buddy and mentor died, and I could almost imagine him saying to me, hey Ren, you only live once, get the Cirrus. And so a couple days after his funeral service, I came back and told my wife, I said, I'm buying a Cirrus. And we went on a test flight, and she loved it, and she was a little reluctant at first, but she's come to love our Cirrus. Okay. This is nice having you guys on board. It's actually like flying with somebody. Okay, let me put you back up here. Hang on. Switch profile again. Good news. There's all those questions I've been answering here. Any more, I'd be happy to talk with you guys about it, so I'm going to punch you out of here for right now. I will tell you this. Which one is it now? Flying a Cirrus is a whole lot easier than flying on the sim sometimes. I will tell you that. That's for darn sure. All right, let's see what we got here. Let's come up close on the, what's going on there? I got a little weird thing happening here on my USB controller for the web broadcast here. Now let's go in the cockpit view. Let's go outside those external views, the rear view. And let's go circle to the right here. Now, for any of you folks that are simmers, right? I used to wonder how all the sim guys customize their planes and all that stuff. I didn't do this myself. There was a gentleman by the name of Stephen McKenzie, who is one of the partners in the company called Torque Sim Aviation that makes the flight model for this Cirrus SR22. And technically it's a G3 turbo normalized version, so it's not quite like my Gen 6, and the company that makes most of my simulator gear was a company called Real Sim Gear. They've come up with the G6, FMS quadrant. The autopilot panel is pretty much the same as the plane, slightly different, but it makes for a very realistic experience. And anyway, Steven is a very gracious guy. I actually interviewed him for one of our videos online, him and a gentleman by the name of Cooper LeComp, and he was nice enough to say, hey, Ren, I want to show you something. He showed me a replica of my SR22 Turbo, and I'm not going to lie, I freaking love it. All righty. Let's go back over to here, and then go back up top. Okay, there we go. All right. There we are, back in the plane here. Let's go check our scorecard here. We are heading Goffs to Hector. We're at 10,000 feet here. Now, the other day, I had an interesting little scenario here, right? Where I had an alt caution light came on. And I'm gonna, like I said, I'm gonna post a video on this. I'm gonna post a video here shortly, once I get it done, of a flight back from Henderson Field, just like we are today. And once I got to 10,000 feet, I started getting this persistent alt-2 caution light, right? And of course, I freaked out a little bit, right? And started looking through all my various gadgets and so forth and so on to try to figure out what the problem was. And the upshot is you'll see a video here shortly that'll be much more clever than this here. Anyway, over here on your flight sim model here, you got you've got your list of
1828 flight heading 180 to maintain 7,000, vector vision approach runway 30.
System malfunctions.
7,000.
We got some checklists that you can mess around with here. Let's go back into flight so I know what we're doing here. That's going to be our next checklist. Anyway, I'm going to do, what was interesting about the flight is that I got it all sorted out. It forced me to actually go and get out some of the things that I keep around my office cockpit here. And one is this little sheet with all of the fuses down here, which in my opinion are very unstrategically placed in an emergency, having to poke around on these fuses that you can't really see. So a long time ago I decided, I can't memorize them all, so I'm going to keep them close at hand. So I keep this on my knee board in addition to my flight info sheets, which I use in the cockpit. And if you're interested in those, just send me a note and I'll be happy to send you one of those along. I keep this little picture of the fuse panel in my plane so that if I ever have to check, I'm not just guessing down there. And sure enough, on this flight back from Las Vegas, I had to reference that thing. And anyway, the upshot of the little lesson I learned there was, to learn more about the electrical system, and the other documents I use are over on my desk over there, right? So I keep on hand the electrical schematic and so forth. I know that when we do our training, we're taught to have the POH on board. There's the Cirrus, I have all these things to show you since I've been working on this. I've got my checklist here, which I have in the plane. I have my POH, which I have in the plane. This I don't keep in the plane. It's only 600 pages of stuff, important stuff on your Perspective Plus. And together, that's probably 4 gallons of fuel, it feels like. But the best way to do it, I find, is to just use your iPad. So if you need checklists, you go over to your checklist here. And in this particular case, it was, what was this? An abnormal, it was electrical system here. It was low alternator 2 output was what was going on, right? So I had to go reach down and get a circuit breaker and so forth. So I'm going to do a little video on how you can use the iPad to take care of all of that stuff that you're lugging around in your plane with you, all 20 pounds of this stuff here. and keep it all in there and actually have a better way to have it organized. Okay, for example, I'll give you a little preview here. Are we okay on fuel and everything? Yeah. If I go to my, down here at the bottom, you see documents, right? So let me close this out. You can see I circled something here. So I have all of my documents. Here's what I'll take you all the way to the back. Let me go over here to iPad. All right, so I keep all of my stuff, all those things I just showed you, the digital versions of all of this right here on my iPad. So if I need the POH, I just pop the POH. But here's the part I love about it. Rather than having to sift through and try to find that stuff in real time, I have all of this stuff easily identified up here. I also have bookmarks, as you can see on all, and these are typically things that I've gone through or thought about, and I've made, adjustments here to kind of, or made bookmarks, let me know these are things I needed to deal with. Okay, so for example, TKS, the normal high max on the TKS system there. Disabling the yaw damper. I don't know why I had to do something. The electrical diagram that I was looking for the other day in the plane. Here it is, right in front of me. So when all 2 goes out, I sit there and go, okay, what the heck is all 2? Okay, that's pretty much everything except the air conditioning and so forth and so on. The electrical diagram. Let's see what I do. The electrical diagram. Let's see. Let's go back one. The electrical schematic, where you can see all this stuff together and figure out how it all works. So anyway, much easier to keep all of this organized, I find, on the iPad. And so for you guys that are out there, just waiting for your Cirruses and hoping that everything goes well, most of the time it will, but when it doesn't, probably a good idea to be able to get after all that stuff as quickly as possible. Okay, so let's go outside the plane here again and take a look. Let's go back to, first off, let's go back to X-plane. Right here, and then we'll go switch profile. There we go. Look at that view, huh? California dreaming. All right, now stop singing there. There's to the left. And there's out to the right. And what a pretty plane that baby is. Okay. Can't wait to get back in that little bird. My little bird. All right, let's go back up to, okay, everything's gone. Okay, so I'm going to put our flight plan back up here. So right now we're headed to Hector, which is right before we get to the Victor 12 airway. I haven't heard anything on the radio from our friends here. We're about halfway through. I got till about 8 o'clock on this one tonight, then I may have to bail here. Okay, so let's go back to the chat room. Anybody else? Awesome 4-flight setup. Thank you very much. I almost have never flown in a Bonanza. I'm reading this from a distance here, gentlemen. Let me just pull all this down here so I can see what it says. Okay. Cirrus is just so dang simple. No prop to deal with, no gear to maintain or malfunctions. Nope, you don't have to mess with the prop. They figured all that out, thank God. Miller is attached to that cabin space. Well, you're not kooky, Miller. You know what? I'm just saying, Miller. You haven't lost your mind there, my friend. That's how they get you for that $1 million. I'm telling you. The Rodeo Drive approach again. All right, so I'm going to do a little something to see if you can see it. One of the things I can do is I can cheat on here and start speeding this baby up a little bit. So let me get down here to back to X-plane. And I'm going to increase our speed.
Just confirm your IFR, correct? Yes, sir. Roger, yeah, the flight strip ahead came up VFR, so anytime
all right, so I'm going to try to speed this up a little bit here.
Clarify that with the controller. The vehicle altimeter 29er advisement of agency request.
Now, you can see on the screen here, we're going 1.6 times speed, which is nice. I'm going to go down here to our throttle quadrant here and flip that over. Flip it back. All right, you know what? I might have to start giving us a little light in the old cockpit here. cameras are all set up nicely now. We can see what's going on out here. Got our nav strobe and landing lights are on. Okay, we're up to 1.7 times speed, so we're going to make some time here.
Approach runway 26 right, altimeter 299 right.